Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the World of Sasquatch. We thought we were going to do something for the Patreon today, but this is turning into another World of Sasquatch, possibly expanding on the last two episodes we did. So, I do believe it's the forest people today that are wishing to come through, even possibly to expand what they were talking about on the Interstellar Council this Friday. So we'll see what they wish to say. And before I go into that, I just want to say entering this area has been a drain on me, re-entering this area. And I will briefly say what they said on the Interstellar Council. They said they had wiped clean a lot of the entities and beings in this area. The forest people did. This is what Fuma said. Him and his brothers had wiped a lot of them clean, whether they were malevolent or benevolent. Benevolent because of the fact if they had their own agenda or a certain energy vibration that was no longer applicable, and malevolent for obvious reasons. So I'll see if whoever's here wishes to expand on that. And it's getting rather sleepy where I'm sitting right now. But there, I'm going to check and see if this forest person I'm seeing is legit. Yes. And this is one we encountered in Washington. He called himself Chucky. I just saw Chucky come walking out of the house, so it's like, were you in there the whole time? No? Okay. Alright. And I thought Scrumpy might have been one that was going to come through, but no. So?
And I don't think you said we're back in Arizona.
Yeah, yeah, we're back in Prescott. You can see the surroundings behind us. We're back in Prescott. A few trying things that happened in Washington I won't go into on this particular segment unless the forest people and them wish to. And we can go into it if they want to. But let's see. I'll take these off. Alright, Chucky. Where's your brother Harry? He's fine. He's not his blood brother, but okay. Yes, Isaac, I know they don't all look alike. I understand. Alright. Alright. Isaac's back to his usual candor. So, let's see. Alright, Chucky. I know Chuck. It's Isaac that gave you the name Chucky. I understand. This environment that they have come back to here in the Prescott, Arizona area is but a small alteration of what we plan to do here. Even though I am from the Washington State area, I am now working with the tribes of your Southwest Arizona area, such as Fuma, Semar, Sufas, Morak, and Mirnak. We are here to help reclaim these energies in a more balanced way. Meaning entities that don't have the highest good for people in any respect, meaning malevolent, and benevolent ones that have, you would say, overstayed their welcome. I am here to facilitate and govern this exchange. We noticed in the times we were communicating with them that there were certain conditions that needed to be met energetically. Certain cleansings that needed to take place, certain catalysts, you would say, that needed to be initiated energetically. We noticed the area was full of beings, yes, but what were the agendas of those beings, good or bad? It's hard to say. Some were naive in their energies and brought in energies that would do harm out of the intent to do good for both their side and other humans here. Those would be some of the nymph fairy beings that were once here. We have nothing against them, but they had to leave our domain. Some of the Grimpa and Gnome factions, wonderful beings. However, some of their mischievousness were starting to distract humans away from important things, such as the mischievousness of theft and mischievousness of, how shall I put it, misappropriated thoughts. Some of them have been asked to leave. We did not take pleasure in some of these things. However, we are considered to be the stewards of nature in this area. Us and some of the Dogman factions, you would say, and Lyran factions. They are the only ones that remain. Unless some of those other beings wished to be in accordance with the energies that needed to be here. But I digress. This is why it was so quiet upon their return here. This is why the energy weeds, as some have put it, grew too large. Because some of these other beings were maintaining these energies. It is not like we cannot, but we are rebuilding the foundation of the area from the ground up to hopefully attain a brand new neutral zone. Which means any being can enter, but cannot be mischievous or harass in any fashion. Just communicate their peace. This is how it should be planet-wide. But I digress again. I wish to state that the state of affairs up in your Washington state are far more energetically chaotic than you would think. That area is also undergoing such a flux, as we've stated, but this one requires our immediate attention from all over. You see, this area too has a nexus point in which to travel to other areas, very much like in your Washington state. Not as large, but big enough to have other beings slide in and out from other parts of your world. This is something we have to meter or monitor. Yes, the Antiqua guard portals, but as do we. We must protect not only the data node in this area, but we must protect our colonies. And this, yes, this does include from targeted individuals, as I stated before. And my dear cousin Harry, as you would say, did. Nothing personal in this respect, but we must protect our colonies. This, unfortunately, is going to become more strict in the neutral zone area. What I mean by this is this. Say in a neutral zone, you have a strict set of neutrality laws that prevent other beings from harming one another. Just like in your Salem, Massachusetts and other places. That said, say you have a set of etheric implants tied to different governmental programs, alien abductions, and the like. Say you believe you have the targeted status of which we expanded on before. This will not matter in a neutral zone. This does not mean you don't do your inner work. This does not mean that you don't not see yourself as targeted. This does not mean that you have not been victimized. However, entering a neutral zone, any influences, thought, programmed, or otherwise, will be nullified while within the zone. This is true of all neutral zones. Now, does this not mean that you wantonly bring entanglements in with you that is not tolerable? This will be quarantined, and you will be asked to leave the zone. This means you will have wantonly brought something in with you. If it's a wanton need on your part that you entangle with dark beings, that will not be tolerated. Neither will the dark beings attacking or entangling with those that you speak to. However, we do recognize the difference between victimization and intention, and we will act accordingly. That said, I will entertain questions.
Well, thank you. I'm really happy you came by from Washington State. I don't feel, and I'm sure Chris doesn't, that kind of felt like we just began getting to know one another up there in your environment, and some of the places that we went to talk to you certainly were, beautiful and awe-inspiring a bit. So obviously, as you know, we were a bit, we knew we had to go, but we were saddened. And we were saddened to leave because we felt like we had just begun. So I really appreciate you taking the time to come here and speak with us. I am actually kind of a bit happily surprised. I had no idea, I don't think Chris did, that the intention was to turn this area into a neutral zone. So we can only talk about really because of our experiences when we were in Salem in that neutral zone. And I will tell you that the rules of the neutral zone were really strictly, and I mean strictly, enforced, and without hesitation and without prejudice. They were strictly enforced. In fact, they were a bit tolerant even of Chris, because if you can imagine what he was around, and he's supposed to not feel the need to lash out, even he had to be counseled on he counts too. No one he knows, and he counts too. So that was an interesting experience, and so I am actually pleased. We were just up in the area of Thumb Butte. Chris and I were just literally right before we were here. We took a drive up to Thumb Butte. As a lot of you know, I don't even know how long ago it was. Now it was over 6 months, but I believe it was actually longer than that we did some channelings up there. And one day we did do channelings with Lyrans, which caught the attention, unfortunately, of negative humans who wanted to try and capture, and that area that we were in, they, I don't know, polluted with their technology, polluted with their devices. And we literally went up there today, and we can say that it's better. So my first question is, since you're changing this area, is Thumb Butte included in that? Will that also continue to change?
Yes, indeed, it will continue to change, despite what your cabal factions and corporations want or wish to happen with that area. It will become a neutral sanctuary along with everything else. You see, we are expanding this neutral territory all the way past your Prescott Valley and beyond, and all the way into your Cottonwood and Clarksdale areas, and even your Jerome areas, given enough time. We will expand these exponentially over a period of time, but we are focusing on this area and the area you call Thumb Butte, because our people once occupied that area en masse, even with humans occupying the close by hills. Your cabal wantonly went in there and laid down an energy net, thinking they would capture both us and the Deer Lyran people. This is not to be so, because we know their tricks. You see, they act dumb, thinking that we do not know that there is a net there. You see, this is the programming of those servant humans to dark whims, because of the fact that they think that a visible net will somehow capture someone who can feel and see the net. They think that we are as stupid as they. No. However, we do feel intentions of them, and we feel intentions of other heartfelt humans that occupy up there, and not so heartfelt humans, as you saw today, this afternoon. We will not go into that part, but needless to say, the humans you spotted up there earlier today had ill intentions for the area. This will not be tolerated in the new neutral zone. The Shungite gifts you left up there, doesn't matter how they were left or where they were left, they were much appreciated in rebuilding this new neutral zone. Shungite and some forms of magnetic powders can be crucial in restarting a positive grid, given the correct intentions. Shungite especially, powdered form will be much more appreciated because it'll spread the winds and the whims of the zone barrier.
Well, thank you. I really do appreciate that. So when we came back, both of us right now are very tired, and I know we went through a lot, a bit physically demanding in a short period of time. I get all that, emotionally demanding in a short period of time, but we were wanting to know. We did have to cut some entanglements. I'm making a leap now to say some of those entanglements that we had to work on and cut actually were needed so that we could actually be in this environment. There's something there. It's like we had to leave, we had to go do what we had to do in order this area was changed, and we had to actually do that as well in order to come back into now what's being made into a neutral zone that we had work that had to be done. So I am curious about that, but I am curious about the tiredness. Is this an adjustment, or are there still some little bits and pieces of entanglement that we have to deal with?
You are unfortunately correct on all counts. Entanglements can drain, as can ill emotions, which we are not blaming or judging on the ill emotions, because we feel the same in some situations. We are like you in that respect. However, as you have said, to dwell in these darker places is doing your kind and ours an injustice because of the etherics involved. Now over to the entanglements, as you stated. The details surrounding this are this. When you engage in business transactions or agreements or contracts with anyone that has done business or etheric negative contracts with Jinn harborers, this spreads to yourselves through not only logos, you would say, sigils and wording, but through intention and through your computers and objects therein. This does not matter that Shungite was involved, because Shungite cannot override the free will of a contractor and a contractee. We know you are not willing contractees, but the situation remains that any entanglement to the individuals, let's say, then turns you into a Jinn harborer. Jinn harboring is a crime in our societies, but those that did not know, we do not blame. But once informed,
there's really literalness to cutting the ties. Literalness.
Correct. With
potential, you're saying potential certain objects that have certain sigils or whatever, because I guess what, our a first attempt for us was to verbally cut ties, verbally cut entanglements verbally. But, we're not the be it all, know it all. We're learning as we're going. So I'm literally asking questions now to really understand. So because we know of the connection, we have to dissipate all of it. But those who don't know and who are innocently acquiring potential things, I don't want to use the word more protected, but I don't know their proper word. It's not held against them because they don't know. But for someone like us, it's not a partial line in the sand. It is a dead, strong strike in the line in the sand of not participating, endorsing, harboring by allowing sigils in an area. It really is that strong, you're saying.
Indeed. We can wait a little while for you to get your affairs in order. But after such time, the line in the sand towards you will be no different than anyone else. Yes, you are correct. There are those that do not know and are victimized very much like the targeted individual. Yet, no personal feelings are harbored towards this. We are just saying that there is a differentiation with this particular entanglement set between those that are informed and those that are not.
And so I'm just going to continue this because I've been trying to figure it out. I've only had theory, and I think it's very relevant. We actually discussed this on something on a Patreon that the Patreon folks will be seeing. And again, it was just theory, but since you're here to ask, we've always said, Chris and I have always said on the lifting, that many good things were infiltrated. And try to be, in a sense, something about it perverted to work for the agenda of, let's just say, I call it darkness, for work for that agenda. This is something that we're realizing is a great example of that. What I cannot figure out is, I can only theorize, is to what are they getting out of it? What is the entanglement that's trying to be created to those who are innocently, being a part of this? And again, it's with a wonderful product. It's with shungite. Shungite itself is phenomenal. So what is it that they are trying to create? What is the entanglement?
Since jinn are allergic, as you would say, to shungite, what they attach themselves to, as you two have said, is the written word. Business contracts, wording, logos, sigils. They can attach to that if the shungite is in a casing, you see. Think about this: a box, a receipt, a tube, a basket with wording. Wording can be crucial to repelling or attracting. What attracts them are sigils and words grounded in spells by someone with dark intentions. You know who I am speaking of.
So, all right. So, in this, and again, we were generalizing this with just other businesses. Not all, folks. Not everything is dark, but darkness has been used to make someone wealthy, and in exchange, some of these, allowances for attachments to reach out to clients who are innocently a part of this. All of this stuff is actually real. We've spoken about it before, how things were actually invaded, it makes it very difficult for us because, again, if it's something so glaringly in our face, we are forced to be authentically who we are, and we are forced to cut ties as we would advise anyone to do. The one thing, again, we said on Patreon that we can say here is that I don't believe there's a human on this earth who can outwit certain types of darknesses, and a well-oiled demonic machine that's going on like this. I don't think a person could actually say, well, I'm going to enter into this and I'm going to be fine, and I can handle this and them. I actually don't know of necessarily anyone with that skill level. What is your opinion?
No one that we know of in your human societies has gained complete dominance over dark entities such as jinn and various types of them. In your histories, yes, methods have been used to capture and to contain and to let out of the box when they are needed. However, when letting them out of the box, what these old emperors and kings and leaders did was lock themselves in a quantum structure, protecting themselves and allowing the captured jinn or demon to, as you say, run amok, then retracting them back into their own quantum trap, then exiting their own. This was a trick they did not tell their own servants. This was a trick they did not tell their enemies, of course. But if they created a line barrier, a quantum barrier around themselves, and any various people they wished to put in there, like in your Japanese history, this is how they did it. Now, another method was technology, like your King Solomon did to the famous jinn known as Asmodeus. There's a lot more to Asmodeus' story than what he currently knows. But needless to say, this was technology, stolen technology I might add, that rotted Asmodeus and his kind to build the Kingdom of Solomon. But in those cases, none of the parties were innocent of anything. There was always a pact involved, a voluntary one. Some emperors and kings thought they could control this without entering into a contract of their own. They figured they could transmute the contract within some small cases. They did, and that they were 100% in control. We are saying that is an extreme minority amongst your kind and the galactic community. Even though the galactic community has larger and bigger tools at their disposal, this does not mean that there is always 100% control. You might get a few lucky years, as you would say, out of it. But know that it is more of a can of worms that you are opening in the process. Now, what do these jinn get out of it, you asked before? Simple. They get energy and they get compliance. And it is really them, when they are off the chain, that is dictating the actions, not the master or the one chaining. However, in this limited case of which you are talking about now, the lady involved then and now entered into a knowing pact with jinn she freed. Now those jinn need energy, since they are no longer part of the overall photonic grid. They need energy, and they need people to develop that energy. I can go no further into this subject. Just know that energy is their primary source of payment.
And so I do want to say that when we knew this situation existed, Chris and I, but when we actually got closer to it, in our understanding at that moment, we were thinking you could etherically cut ties, you could etherically revoke, you could etherically, even ward. And then we were finding out, again, as we were still in there, that was not working. So I can't stress enough that certain contractual agreements, and these agreements, from what a dear friend of ours was saying to us here recently, so if you want to comment on this one, what our friend was saying recently is that sometimes these agreements, yes, they happen within this lifetime, but sometimes agreements in this lifetime were agreed upon before now, and they're coming it's coming into alignment. And so even a person who is in the muck of it, up to their eyeballs in it, may not even realize during this lifetime the agreement that was set forth in the past that they are now a part of fulfilling.
Yes.
So I if you don't mind commenting on that, because this is why it's so complicated. You're not necessarily, and you're going to see this is another thing, you're going to see bits and pieces of things like this in your own encounters, and it's hard. You don't want to make judgments because you don't know really what's going on. Sometimes you just know you need to walk away from it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. Walking away from it is usually the best answer of getting away from a toxic entanglement. But you are correct. These things go to your ancient past, either through what you refer to as lineage curses or your past lives. Say an expression of yours agreed to do something for the jinn or various types of beings. Those various types of beings will be attracted to your quantum threads now, per that contract, you see. Enter into this time continuum and continue to enact their end of the bargain, even if you remember it or not. This is something people have a hard time swallowing, that pill, you would say. But this does happen. Also, in another lifetime, you may have been what was known as a jinn master, and they may be retaliating against you for binding them in some fashion, which in either case, as you would say, messes up our realm and the realm of the elementals, as you call them. This has happened for centuries now and continues to happen as these new energies bubble forth, as you would say. All of these old contracts are coming into your face to make sure that they are not only revoked, but they are completely obliterated from the earthly Akashic. You see, you can take shadows of the past and instruct the earthly Akashic to delete them. This can be done and should be done as you go into areas where there's residual ghosts and residual, as you would say, pain. Yes, you can declare it neutral, but you can go into the earthly Akashic that saved all of that into its, you would say, data banks, as you would say, and wipe that clean, keeping the information intact, but the emotion behind it is not needed. The energetics behind it is certainly not needed. As we did for this area, returning everything to the Schumann resonance, as you call it. That is necessary for old battlefields. That is necessary for anywhere that the harvesters would try to gain dominance. Yes, neutrality works, but erasing that part of the Akashic, which contains the very energy in which these beings feed off of, that is crucial to being deleted.
And that is where you guys lead the way to do it, because really we can do our part, but Chris, we couldn't have done what you guys did here. I mean, I think that there is an importance here to realize the necessary growth and partnership of everyone who calls this place home. And, maybe at some point, we could do that. And I'm not trying to put us down, but I'm just saying we needed to leave and you guys needed to do what you needed to do. We needed to go and experience what we needed to experience to obviously grow more in understanding about what we're talking about. And then we're faced with looking at ourselves in the mirror, and are we going to walk the talk of what we understand in our hearts to be? And that is something that we've had to face on a few occasions, and we just know we have to. And again, as we were told, and you've said before, it's not personal. This isn't personal. This is just how the energetics work, and this is how you entangle and work through things in order to continue to move forward in the direction you want and not be held back like trying to get out of a pool and you know, all of these arms trying to pull you back and keep you back in it. You literally are going to have to be willing to walk the talk in some of these areas. But right now, what was done, I guess I just go back to what I first said, that really is, in a sense, your, I don't want to call it mantle, but it's what you do. It's your contribution to helping the energetics change. Is that true?
Indeed, but humans can also do this. Granted, we know there are not many that have certain knowledge of the energetics in the ether, but there is something that can be done by even those that do not have that information and knowledge. Even the mere words and speaking of it. And say an object such as shungite, or as you were discussing on the show last night with the nails. This can be done with the intention that you are wiping the akashic clean of anything that does not serve in this particular moment in time in which you exist now. This is also a way you can do things such as that. We are not specifying as to completely the type of nail, except for maybe copper and shungite. These happen to be favorable elements, but it's also your intention doing so. If you do not happen to have any of these things, program a crystal to do so with your intentions. Things of that nature will work for those that do not see or feel any of that that's around them.
But is it really starting a catalyst where persons like yourself are able to come in and also assist? I mean, would it be just humans doing it alone, or is it done as a partnership?
In all actuality, it is done as a partnership.
Okay. I just want to know, because, you know, I do know that, and again, I'm not saying as humans learn their skills, they won't be able, you know, to do any of that. But we're in the process of relearning these skills. And so I know all I can use is the example of here. I know there's been many times that we have put our intention out of doing things, but it really took, the oomph actually came from you guys also participating in it. So I don't want to, I want to be truthful with what really occurred, and I want to be truthful with where you know, humans actually are in their learning process. Everyone should be trying to co-create now. Everyone should be putting forth true heartfelt intention and this, that, and the other. Everyone should be working on their true authenticity, not wearing masks, things like that. But in a sense, you also need to know that your positive intentions and your desires are not going unheard, and they are being assisted, and many people actually feel alone, and it's not true. You guys are hearing, and you're checking the energies, and there also must be some timing to it all, because I'm assuming you guys are making your decisions based on energetics and timing and things of when something needs to occur.
Yes, indeed. Very much like your AI does the very same for energy draining. We counterbalance it by doing things such as this at certain times of year that are stronger, such as your equinoxes and your solstices and what you would deem as holiday seasons. You can use these seasons to your advantage, not necessarily in worship, but in unity and in healing the areas around you. These are most powerful at these times of year, but you can do them whenever you wish.
So I just want to tie some of this conversation up, because we just go back to the basics of our conversation with Sasquatch. Who they are and why, you know, what they are doing while they are here is unknown. This is not an animal race just being animalistic. These are highly, you know, for many of the tribes, they're highly evolved, and they are doing enormous things that benefit you as well as themselves. And for many of them in their hearts, they desire to have the partnerships with humans as it was once before, and that's but everyone's got growing to do, and trust has to be held. But to think that for some reason, that we're not getting way more from them, even though we don't see them right now, don't be naive. Don't be naive. Understand that a lot of these races are participating in trying to do a lot to turn the tides. However, there has to be a safety point met of when is a proper time to actually do the face-to-face, here I am, everybody's safe, no one's feeling threatened type of disclosure. And so everyone can kind of do their part. But for me, first and foremost, it's you need to change your vision of who you think this race is. I mean, first off, you just got to. And then it opens you up to really be amazed, like I am, at all of the different things that they are able to do, and how they, even though they may run you off from their family, how patient. They're a very patient race, because you guys have seen it all, and you're patiently awaiting the energetics, trying to keep your family safe, making the sweep of changes that need to be made so that we all grow into a unity together.
Yes, indeed. Some of us are more patient than others in this growth process. There are those of us that have no patience whatsoever and have been known to be more violent towards your kind. I, however, do not condone this, but I understand the level of impatience and frustration. In this, our own people do wish this unity, this dialogue to continue. We will continue to speak on these venues and continue to inform people about what we are doing. Now you may be wondering, informing this way, wouldn't this give the bad guys a leg up? No, they are that stupid. We are saying this because we can openly talk about it in this fashion because of the fact they are that dumb. If we were to come out and do things to face, they would strike immediately, except in very isolated scenarios, or in a more, as you would say, transparent sense, like now. But if we do this way, the risk to us is minimal, and the risk to you is negligible.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's really nice to know, and obviously we're going to do our best to just continue dialogue so that people will change their perceptions and open themselves up to a much bigger picture than maybe what they currently have allowed into their thought processes. So, well, I have enjoyed this conversation. I don't actually know what else to ask, because we were talking again about some very specific points of concern, except to say again, everyone now all around the world, we speak to people all around the world, everyone's kind of facing the same things now. Time, in a sense, some people would say time is speeding up, but what's going faster is the experiences bubbling up to the surface that need to be healed, where you need to make decisions of what is for your highest good or not. Do I need to get rid of something? Do I need to move away from something, move over here? Do I need to change relationships? Do I need to change all kinds of things? It could be, do I need to change my job? Do I need to change my partner? Do I need to, stay away from certain family members that are more toxic and not see them regularly? Neighbors, it doesn't matter. Everyone is now dealing as all of these energetics come up, and you have to think of it as all of yourself, like I said, getting out of a pool, and all of the threads and all of those pieces that are still trying to keep you back in the pool. And what are you going to do about it? Now you're being challenged, or I should say given the opportunity, and I think we said this back last fall, this year, this spring, we were going to be given the opportunity to see, are we really who we say we are? And now we're here. So we're being challenged just as much. Are we really who we say we are? Are we really going to walk the talk and have to disassociate from things that are not for our good? Would we be willing to do that? Would we be willing to walk certain paths? And you're no different. Everyone is experiencing this right now. So if you don't mind leaving kind of with your understanding of what everyone's going through, and then any last words.
What everyone is going through right now is indeed a chaos. Whether you stay in your malaise or whether you continue forward through the fire. In this day and age, yes, going into different areas of thought, different areas of heart space, different areas of energy, etherics, and knowledge are all causing what you refer to as a targeted individual scenario. This seems to be with you two as well, given the hostility that is aimed at you on a regular basis, and we sympathize with this. This happens to a lot of people. We are telling all of you listening that not only are these things happening, such as false thoughts and false beliefs, but there are good things taking place as well. Battles and wars being fought and won that you know nothing about. Things happening in the background energetically and physically that you've never heard of. We are telling you one day you will know of these things. And we will be right there to help inform you. But until that day comes, we are saying continue on as if we do not exist at all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bright. Ooh. It is very bright out here now. Ooh. It's very blue, actually. And just know that if you are what you consider to be a targeted individual, we here completely sympathize with that. What they are trying to say is don't refer to yourself as this, like what they said in one of the previous episodes. Don't ground that here. Those words very strong. Don't refer to yourself as a victim. Act as if they are not around. They want to communicate, of course. What they're trying to say is be your own sovereign being and not reaching out to constantly get saved, is what they're trying to say. There are situations here that are out of their control for changing too, such as the Earth quarantine and the Galactic Federation and other races out there that just simply won't get involved here. Don't keep beseeching these alien races to get involved here. They're not going to until we elevate to a certain status. That's just how it is. They're not going to save you from bills. They're not going to save you from lesson. They're not going to save you from certain energetics. Overage, different story. What is overage is changing day by day. Even some abductions now are turning into overage. Implanting people by different races. You may be wondering why different races won't pull out the implants of other races when they do their experimenting. It's basically a policy amongst themselves. They won't interfere with each other's experiments. That whole thing is going to be kiboshed and turned into overage here very soon. Does it mean after that you're going to start seeing these things all instantly? No. The Sasquatch want to build up that relationship with people, but they're not going to wantonly interfere with their path either. Humanity has a long way to go before entering the galactic community as a whole, and the Sasquatch and other races know this. What we were saying about the nails before we go, the nails thing was mentioned last night on a show we recorded for Patreon. I was bringing up copper nails that you can buy from Home Depot or Lowe's or anything like that, and blessing them to get rid of all the foreign energy, since copper can pick up a lot of junk too. Blessing all of this is what I do with the rods when I make these, and taking a piece of shungite or wrap the end of it and push that down into the earth to either do what the Sasquatch were suggesting, clearing the earthly Akashic, or on your property creating lines and barriers like how Seimei in Japan would have done, creating different lines. But in our case, we use those nails. I'm not denigrating our products with the rods or anything like that. I'm just saying a simple way is with the nails. So with that, any last words?
No, I'm sure you guys, just like us, always happens. We have a lot to think about, ponder from listening to this. And again, you're going to be challenged. You're going to be challenged to really be who you say you are. And that is not a bad thing, because you're also going to build your confidence that you are who you say you are. And that is what is needed right now, so you can assert yourself. So don't be afraid of it. Just know that it is a skill that's now required of you.
Yes, agreed. Thank you, everybody, for watching this episode of The World of Sasquatch. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.